Welcome. We want to talk today about longevity, how to live a longer, healthier life. And we've spoken before about the importance of complex carbohydrates and protein. So today we heard something from Dr. Greger that we wanted to share with you that fills that out even more.
Yeah, it was kind of fascinating. He was talking about research on a hormone called FGF21. It's a growth hormone. But what's interesting is that this hormone was just discovered a few years ago. It's so fascinating, isn't it, that science continues to discover things that it never knew before.
True.
And we've been basing so much about how to be healthy and all that on really quite a limited amount of knowledge. When you think of how much occurs in the body and how little we actually know.
And how absolutely brilliant the body is. It's just such an amazing gift that each of us have.
Yeah, so I'm not putting down science. It's amazing what we have discovered and are able to utilize to help us stay healthier. But I always kind of have the idea that we know everything now. We can really make things work. And I think there's a lot more we don't know than we do know. So that kind of leads into why we are so impressed with the results of the whole food plant-based diet, because it gives the body what it needs to do what it knows how to do. We don't have to try and tweak things here and there because of something that we discovered through science. When we eat a high fiber, low fat, organic, high nutrient dense, plant-based diet, the body has what it needs and it does its magic.
Yeah, that's how we thrive. The body just thrives naturally when we give it what we're intended to eat. That's what I believe.
So yeah, the video, and we'll attach a link on this blog, but basically the video is looking at the relationship between this FGF21 and longevity, which essentially means that the higher levels of this hormone in our blood, the longer we live, which means less risk of all the major causes of death in North America or wherever you live. And that means less chance of heart disease, heart attacks, arterial sclerosis, stroke, cancer, diabetes. These are the leading causes of death. And all of that, interestingly, is what we see when people eat whole food plant-based. So part of that may be because of this increase in FGF21 that's produced by that diet.
What we see is people don't have those conditions when they eat whole food plant-based.
Yeah, and it might have to do with this hormone. Yeah. So this hormone they see is boosted by fasting. But fasting isn't a sustainable way to live. What they found is best is to increase the carbs or decrease the protein. And the carbs to increase would be what Connie mentioned earlier, the complex carbohydrates, which are found in whole foods, as opposed to the refined or simple carbohydrates of bread and pasta, sugars, all the refined carbohydrates. Let's get them in the whole food form.
And drive-through foods.
Drive-through foods, yeah. So
they're
anything
processed too.
Yeah, anything processed. The carbs that come in processed foods are not what we're looking for if we want to boost these levels of this hormone. Now, the other thing that was interesting was that if we decrease the levels of protein, this hormone is also boosted. But the research wasn't like creating a deficiency in protein. They basically just shifted the protein from the typical 100 to 112 grams per day that the typical man in North America eats, down to 64 grams per day, which is still above the 56 grams per day that is recommended. So all they did was kind of bring the diet down from the excess that most North Americans eat to a little bit more than what's recommended. And they found that in 4 weeks, these levels of FGF21 increased by 150%. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it's
That's
really
amazing.
something. Yeah. And in another study, it was interesting that they lowered the protein, I think, to 74%. I mean, 74 grams a day, up the carbohydrates,
Complex carbs.
the complex carbs, by 300 calories a day. The people for these for this period of time were eating 300 calories a day more. They boosted their FGF levels by 200%, and they all lost 2 pounds in body fat.
Wow.
So they ate more, lost more fat, and increased their longevity.
But what they ate more of was
Carbs.
Yeah, complex carbs.
Complex
And less protein.
And brought their protein down closer to the recommended levels. So yeah, it's just, we wanted to share that with you because it seems like when science starts to validate these things, we have more confidence that something as simple as eating whole foods could actually be what's going to keep us the healthiest, so we don't need all the science of medications and surgeries and chemotherapy. I mean, those are amazing things, but what if we could avoid them altogether?
Yeah, that's what interests me.
That's what we're going for.
Now, the food, we have a wonderful recipe, Instant Pot, very quick, very, very quick. It only takes 5 minutes to cook in the Instant Pot. And it's a cauliflower 4-bean stew with lots of tomato and olives. And we added spinach at the end for that green value that has so many nutrients. It's really good, so give it a try.
Yeah, and this can be made on the stovetop as well. But if you have an Instant Pot, it's just that much quicker. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.